Folks, welcome back to So Bad It's Good. Now, listen, I know we are all missing the traders, right? We're missing the traders. We're looking for a new reality competition series, and I've got something for you to cure your woes. There is a brand new, amazing competition reality series on Netflix called Million Dollar Secret. It's its first season. The first 3 episodes just dropped, so you can catch up before the next 3 episodes drop this next week. Now, in this show, 12 contestants live in this decadent lakeside estate called like the Stag, and it's like a game of deceit. Among them, only one of the players is designated the millionaire right off the bat, and then the rest are aligned to trying to root that millionaire out in hopes of becoming that person. So we have 2 of the people. One was a millionaire for like mere moments, but unfortunately they are both out of the game. So I know this is a little bit of a spoiler alert, but I think this is just good to gauge your interest. We have Lauren and Say Young from Million Dollar Secret. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
So Lauren, you just said you're for people listening and not watching, that was Lauren, and Say Young, say hi.
Hi.
Okay, so that's Say Young, that's Lauren. And I've got to say, first off, how did you come to be on this show in the first place?
It's a great question. Mine felt very random. Long story short, somebody saw something of mine who suggested I apply for it, and I'd never really considered reality TV before. It's not something that was really in my wheelhouse, I thought, because I'm, first of all, not very competitive in my mind. I'm also not really I don't have the skill set to maybe do well on most reality shows, because if it has anything to do with intense competition, like challenges that are super physical, I'm like, no, I'd rather just watch it at home on my couch with a snack and a beverage.
Wait, so how did they convince you to do this? If you're literally like, I'm not good at this right off the bat, which by the way, I would beg to differ, because you were in the really hard position of being the millionaire immediately. Yeah. And we watched you through the course of 2 episodes, I guess 3 episodes, right? And having to kind of deal with trying to deceive the rest of the players. And we saw you go through this emotional struggle, but I thought you were actually fantastic for being first out of the gate.
Thank you. Thanks. I really appreciate that. I would say what surprised me about that, and I still want to hear how Say Young, of course, got on this show, but through the application process, I got it. I still was kind of worried that I wasn't going to be very good at it, but like you were saying, you were kind of impressed with how I was able to do it. So was I. Honestly, so was I, because I think what it was is I'm a try hard deep down. And if I have a mission to complete, if somebody gives me a job to do, the try hard in me wants to do it well. Right. So I'm like, well, I can't make a fool of myself. I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. So I think that was my high school self being like, I will rise to the occasion. And so I did better than I thought I was going to do, I got to say.
And Say Young, how did you get on the show?
I just wanted to ask Lauren, did you at any point consider not doing the millionaire challenge, because it would then take some of the stress off of you, right?
Like the agendas, the secret agendas? Ooh.
So you guys, just so if you don't know, the secret agendas are the things that, so if you get the $1 million, you have to complete a secret agenda, and then you get extra votes. You get to kind of help your game when they're voting out who they think is going to be the millionaire. Mm-hmm. And you had some wild challenges. The first one, you had to hug everybody in the game, and you had to find a way to hug each person without it coming off weird or something that would be left of center. And then the next challenge was that they gave you a bunch of hit songs throughout the decades. One was Every Rose Has Its Thorn, the song, and you had to find a way to drop that into conversation. And I was having douche chills. I was like, oh my God, it's so wild. But you really did it. You really completed those missions. But Say Young, how did you get on the show?
I love games of all kinds. So I love video games. I love board games, but I'm not smart enough to try and get on Jeopardy. So I tried out for Supermarket Sweep, kind of the more old school, right? Simpler games. Did not get on Supermarket Sweep. But after a long, long period of time, I heard back from Alexa, the amazing casting producer, and she said, I remember your audition for Supermarket Sweep, and I think you would be great for this show. And of course, I was just like, sure, whatever, have some pictures. And then it just like kept going on to the next round. And at no point did I think I would actually get it.
Wow. What happened in this Supermarket Sweep audition that made you stand out? Like, did something happen during the audition?
No idea. I didn't cry, so maybe like.
Can I speak to what probably stuck out as your friend and fellow castmate? What I love most about Sayoung is that any thought that I would have, she would say it out loud. Like, she doesn't have a filter, which is the most beautiful thing about her. That as soon as something is like, okay, all of us are kind of thinking it, you're just like, well, I'm just going to say it. And I'm like, yes. So it's this very like candid, very like, I'm just going to own all of my insecurities right up front, which I also lead with that too. So I was like, oh, I see you. I do that same thing. And I think that authenticity is hard to forget. Once you see it, you're like, well, that's refreshing.
Well, I will say though, it's like this seems like such an intense game in the fact that you guys both cried within the first 3 episodes. And by the way, not just you, like you see other players, like there's 8 episodes. I've only watched 3 and we'll get to see the rest of this journey over the next couple of weeks. But I imagine there's going to be more tears. And I just was wondering, like, it's one thing us watching at home, but what was the intensity level on the actual set? Because it must have been really extreme.
Oh man, go for it. Sayoung, you take control there.
Well, like I'm such an anxious person at a baseline. Like that's like my foundational personality, right? It's like I am just anxious. And then I think I was so focused on, oh my God, this is a game no one else has played before. Like I couldn't study the meta. So I'm there like making my brain just like tick, tick, tick to try and figure out what is the most optimal move. And so there's not only the pressure of being in a show, but also the pressure of like, I must perform. You know what I mean?
And by the way, also that kind of bit you in the butt a little bit because you were taking the game so seriously, which was like what you should do in a game. But like you were like looking through everything, looking for clues, even though that wasn't something that was instructed. And people thought, wait a sec, why is she doing too much? And it wasn't because you were the millionaire. It was just because you play the game hard and you seem like you have a type A personality to some degree. And do you regret playing the game so hard now?
Ryan, thank you for that question. I am all regrets. Like, and
same right here, same. Yeah.
When I went in, my strategy was like, I'm not gonna talk. I'm gonna really own that stereotype of like, oh, quiet Asian girl. She like non-threatening.
No threat.
Yeah, whatever. Try to latch myself onto the strong alliance and coast to that way. That did not happen. As soon as I got there, like Motor Mouth 3000, people keep asking me why I was picking up stuff. It's because I thought there would be a survivor type immunity idol. And I was like, the main alliance does not like me, but guess what? I'm going to find that idol and I'm going to clench through it.
That's what I think. We have now like decades of watching reality competition series on television like Survivor or even most recently The Traitors. And if you watch those shows, there's always clues hidden everywhere. So you were like kind of doing the right thing, but you like other people thought that was weird because they weren't playing that same way. Yeah, like but at the same time, like I didn't know, maybe there was a clue. You don't know.
Yeah.
Yes.
But also I think what is so underrated in all of these shows is it's really the social game that is the most important part of it. Because no matter, what the logic is, what you might bring to the team, what the strategy that is the most ideal might be, none of that matters if you can't play the social game. And as a total loser, I will tell you that's the hardest part. Like
claim loser, okay?
No, by the way, I feel like I'm your life coach now. You are not a total loser at all. I mean, listen, you're on TV. You were great. The thing is, though, that's what I get scared of. Like all the audience at home will picture themselves in your your shoes and go like, oh my God, this is what I would do, or this is what I wouldn't do. And I don't think, I mean, I was watching you, Lauren, do that hugging challenge, and I would not be able to do that to save my life. And then I was wondering, Lauren, did you the next day have to keep hugging people just so they thought it was part of your personality?
You know, I'm glad you asked. I wish that I had a single strategic bone in my body. I don't. So I wish I could have thought, you know, they think I'm a hugger. I need to keep hugging. As soon as I was done hugging, I'm like, I'm good. Like, I don't need to touch another human here ever again, which then should be suspicious. But I think they might have, I think what it looked like watching it back is, this is how this woman like soothes herself. Like, this is, I need physical touch to be calm, and I'm so nervous. And so I think it played okay. The other challenge of working in the 5 song lyrics was kind of tailor-made for me, because I'm a quirky, whimsical person just by nature, and I sort of speak that way anyway, and I'm just a goofball, right? So they're like, well, yeah, Lauren being Lauren, like, she's saying another weird thing, and I don't think they even thought about it. They're just like, yeah, she said other weird metaphors, that's just how she talks, and I blended right in. I did get a little nervous with that one, because how do you naturally say every rose has its thorn in everyday conversation? But got them all done.
You did it. I was really shocked you were able to do both of those, and nobody was suspicious of you. And even they give the one guy a clue saying it was a smash hit. And the guy was like, I think it's something to do with the food, like smashed food.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. But also I'm watching it, and I was so interested if you guys thought about, like, it's so interesting how groupthink works, is that sometimes you don't see the obvious and everybody just goes on to, like, everybody hops onto their guess, and they're like, that's it. And they don't see the obvious clues in front of them.
Bulldozing was happening for sure, right? That there was these strong personalities that would bulldoze through other ideas. And I think, honestly, that's how I made it through 2 rounds, is because people would bulldoze ideas, and they would
do your work for you in a sense.
100%. There were times where someone that's a little more soft-spoken would be totally on to me. There were things that, I mean, I don't want to give too many spoilers of who caught on to what, but one person totally called out what one of my clues was, what one of my agendas was. She totally was on to me. And if they would have said, wait, what do you mean by that? Did you hear something? If they would have just stopped and asked a single follow-up question, done. I'm done. Because another person
was that Lydia?
Yes. That was actually Cara.
That was Cara. Yeah. No, it was really interesting. And then, you know, you are the millionaire, but Say Young, they start thinking you are. And like, you guys were you had won that challenge, and you, Say Young, nominated Lauren, saying, oh, yeah, I just think there's no way she is the millionaire, so I think it's safe to throw her name in there. Your name gets thrown in there as well. And then it gets really emotional when they come down on you, Say Young, and you have to defend yourself. I mean, what was that moment like? And did you know that you would have to defend yourself hard to try to get out of that situation?
I'm like, this is the level of unaware I was. Going into dinner, I didn't think that people were suspicious of me. So then they sit me down, and I'm like, oh no, like, this conversation isn't going anywhere where I expected, right? And then I think it was such poor gameplay on my part to not establish that, like, oh, other people were actually picking up other threads. Like when Kyle says, Phil, why was your reaction at breakfast so outsized?
Yes.
How did I not immediately go like, you guys are right. It is so weird that he was so triggered by that. It sounds like maybe you really wanted to put the suspicion on me. Like, there's so many arguments that I could have made at dinner, but I just was not emotionally settled enough to be able to take that information in and manipulate it. I also thought a lot about, oh my God, me, you, Lydia, and Sam liked each other, trusted each other, knew there was another alliance, but never actually sat down and went, hey, look, no matter how many things get bandied back and forth, we need to be our own alliance, and just say stuff and then don't vote that way. Like, I don't know. There's so many things I would redo.
So that's what I was wondering.
Speak to that. Can I add one thing to that?
Does this haunt you a little bit? Say
every night, Ryan. Every night. Morning, day, and night. You don't understand.
What were you about to say, Lauren?
Oh, I can only imagine how that eats at you. And there's so many things that I've just wanted to share sense. And we've had great conversations. So Young and I are still buds. I think that's something that maybe people are picking up on this from what I'm seeing. And what doesn't maybe get flat out said, but people are catching on, is there very much was this feeling of kind of like being back in high school and this feeling othered, because there is this sort of clique happening, and there was this mindset of sort of the cool kids table, and we weren't at it, and that was hard without talking about it. We didn't name that necessarily, or we didn't talk very openly about that, but I think that it was very tangible in the house, and I think that that was part of the emotions that were at play, was feeling very othered and feeling very like, yeah, I'm just not good enough for these people. I'm not cool enough for these people.
Well, I mean, we never escape too far from high school. I always find that interesting, is that no matter how far away from those experiences you get, you're really able to get back there really quickly. And you know, and it's like, it's really tactile when you get on a situation where you have all of these different types of personalities, but you fall in line kind of how you used to when you were younger, and it can really eat at you. In fact, Lauren, you said at one point that this game was eating you from the inside out. You were so stressed about being the millionaire. In fact, I think at the second episode, at some point, you get the opportunity to give the $1 million to somebody else, and you could just play the game. And you immediately took that. But then I was wondering, just like Say Young says, it haunts her, do you regret giving the $1 million to somebody else because that, and do you regret also telling people that you were the millionaire?
Ooh, these are the two burning questions. Do I regret moving it? No, because I was a sitting duck. Mm-hmm. I was an absolute sitting duck. It was a matter of time before they would have found that out, because the group kept dwindling, and I was in the group. And we needed a fresh reset in order to reestablish now it can be anyone again. And I did it. No regrets on that. Now, do I regret sharing that information? No, but I regret how I shared it. It was very emotional. It was very much a guilt thing. I just saw someone I truly care about and respect be very, very sad and leaving. And I didn't want her to go. I hated that she was leaving, because it was almost like, why her and not me? She's so good at this. She's such a player, and they need her here. And so it was very much this like imposter syndrome of like, I'm not that good at this anyway, and she has to leave. And I don't know, I felt really crappy. I felt horrible about that. So,
but it's interesting how you admit this, and then they jump on you for that. Like they get you out instead of like, they know you're not the millionaire at that point, and
I have
they
a million thoughts about that. I have a million thoughts about it, and I'm going to be tactful about it.
Well, like, okay, so
wait, by the way, you don't have to be tactful. I just want to you do not have to be tactful at all.
I'm like, choose your words, Lauren. Choose your words.
So at this point, I'm just a viewer. I'm just a fan, right? So I wasn't there. My thoughts is, okay, like from a gameplay standpoint, if you're the main alliance, it absolutely makes sense to just protect your own. You don't have an actual incentive to move the money yet, or to get the millionaire out yet. So yeah, you are zeroing in on someone who's not the main alliance to just get out next. Yeah. Now the argument for why you happen to be that person they decided they will pick off, where's the logic there? I don't know.
It's a little flimsy.
But it did work, right? Like they got someone that wasn't their alliance out. So ultimately it was good gameplay on their part. You know what I mean? But when I watched episode 3 and I see your face, I just feel so bad. I feel like I'm like, oh my God, I see the suffering on your face, and it kills me when I watch
and I gotta tell you, that's it makes really good TV. No offense, Lauren.
It
makes really good.
It absolutely did.
Makes really good TV. But I did feel bad, because I wanted to find a way to get you out of that, and I think that's what like makes this game kind of exciting, because you're like, oh, what if she had not told them that she was would that have like extended the stay a little bit?
That's by and large the biggest I don't want to say like angry comments, because they're not angry. It's from this place of protection that people who are watching it are like, Lauren, no, why did you do that? I'm reading 100 comments of, Lauren, that was stupid. Lauren, no, I know, guys.
Well, it was so funny watching you discover the $1 million. You're in the room alone.
Yeah.
Everybody's opening their boxes in a montage, and you open yours, and it's there. And it's like I will never see $1 million cash in my lifetime. And it's such a really interesting moment because everybody else is opening their boxes. It's empty. Yours is full. And then Peter, the host, comes in, and he has this like in a big booming presence and voice. And I just thought, oh my God, how do you act normal from that point on? And then Say Young, when you left, I thought this was great. You said, listen, I'm sad to leave, but now at least I can go back to watching Bridgerton, which I thought great plug for Netflix, by the way. I was like, that's a solid plug. I mean, did you go back immediately that night and watch Bridgerton?
Oh, I needed as much escapist fantasy, to be honest, for the like solid like month after I went home, because they put you right in that car, and oh my God, thank God they didn't use this footage. The amount of like ugly guttural crying I did in that
naughty car. Tears coming. Yeah.
And then at one point I stop and I tell the driver, this must be real awkward for you, and then start cracking up like a crazy person laughing. Like,
oh my
sorry, you have to hear me cry.
No, I mean, but I'm saying like this is what you want from reality series because you want to believe people have like their whole heart is in the game, and that's why it is, entertaining to watch in a sense because you believe that you really want to be there. This actually just got released on Wednesday, and I just checked. I think you guys are like number 4 on all of Netflix right now.
We are
insane. And by the way,
get us to 1, Ryan.
We're only one day in. We're only 1 day in, and I just thought, already in this last day, what are the wildest messages you've received so far?
Oh my gosh! See, this is where it gets juicy. I think. Be careful, Lauren. I think what's really, really interesting to watch is just the different reactions that everyone involved is having online. And what I'm trying to do is just be really mindful that everybody in it has a very unique experience. They're very complicated people, and I know nothing about them beyond the show, really, unless I've gotten to be friends with them, like someone like Say Young, where I do know much more about her because I know about her family, and I know about her interests, and I think she's awesome. But I need to remember that I still don't really know some of these people, so I'm trying not to take things super personally. Really, ultimately, it still feels like a game sometimes, and I'm just trying to put out as much positivity and love as I can, and that's it.
Well, Say Young, I hope you're not about to give me positivity because no. I mean, like, has anybody reached out to you that you've known or from your actual life, not any of the other series players? Has anybody reached out and been like, "Whoa, I can't believe you're on this"?
Brian, I don't have friends.
True.
You are mean.
When Corey's like, I have so many notices, I can't even like open my phone. I'm like, yeah, I have my 5 friends were thrilled by it. No, but my favorite stuff is seeing how strategy and like my gameplay is received by the viewers, because my favorite message I read is like, she's so manipulative. She turns the tears on to get sympathy for herself, and then she turns them off as soon as she's like listing out why Lauren is the millionaire. And I'm like, girl, I wish I had that capability in me, and I wish those tears were fake, because that would be an incredible tool set to
You wanted to turn off those tears so badly.
I just like cranking that button, and they just kept coming.
But it's so funny how we all view these shows differently in some ways, because I was like, that is so believable to me, your emotional reaction. And I knew you weren't the millionaire, so I was like, felt emotional for you. But it is, when you can't convince people of something that isn't true, it's incredibly frustrating. As we start winding down here, first off, Samantha was on to you, Lauren, a little bit. She, by the way, she reminds us every episode that she's a cop. So she knows, even though she couldn't do the skeet shooting challenge, she's a cop. But was there anybody that was just flat out rude to you in the stag?
I don't think you're allowed to ask us that.
Oh, am I not allowed? Okay, sorry. Everybody was great and happy. It was really fun and happy.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yes. Okay, that's all. That's all.
But
all
I will say, it's so interesting what comes through and what doesn't. I love Sam. I would have actually considered Sam my closest alliance in my very short stint on the set. So it's very interesting that none of that comes through. And it's so funny because my partner did say, like, Sam's a cop. Why can't she shoot that thing? I'm on, well, NYPD doesn't carry around shotguns. Like, and like criminals don't fly like through the sky away from you.
True. It was such a, honestly, it was like the greatest thrill of my whole experience that I was able to
you shot
an accurate shot. I did. And I was stunned. Yeah. I stunned myself, but I was like, my Norwegian ancestors are going to be so excited. Like they're just like probably celebrating in heaven right now. Thank you. Thank you guys. They channeled through me.
Well, and then in the final episode, you guys, and just to remind you, you can stream 3 episodes right now on Netflix. The next drop will be happening next week, and then 2 episodes after that for the finale. But you really think at the end that Sydney is the millionaire. You're like, you guys, you have an easy job at this point. You just got to follow, and Sydney, that's not the correct guess. I mean, when did you find out that you were wrong upon leaving?
It was, probably maybe a month or so after. I didn't know for sure how any of it played out. Obviously, like through the grapevine, heard some things, but I didn't know what was true and what wasn't. I think what's so interesting is I do think something happened. I do believe other things were happening that day for her. I noticed that shift, and I know for sure that was actually, I was noticing those things. I was not making that up. I've maybe seen a few things that thought that I was totally just like picking her and like going at her because I thought she was a threat. No,
you had reasons. You said she was inhaling her breath a little bit more on this one.
Her breath was odd and nervous. Her behavior was very quiet. She was never like that. She was much more observant. She was very much acting like I did right away with the nerves. And I thought for sure, I'm like, got it, right? I did think my second was Phil. But I was like, I don't want it to be Phil.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be Phil. And I was wrong, and I can own the fact that I was wrong. And I think that whole experience, a lot of people are going to get things wrong, and that's part of the game. We tried our best.
At any point, Lauren, did you think, I'm actually not going to accuse anyone. I'm just going to let people know I don't have the money and then sit back and let them talk?
Yeah, I kind of was 50-50 on that. Now I wish I would have. Now I wish I would have just observed and let it happen. I do think no matter what, after I shared what I shared, I saw the looks on their faces. I saw the reaction that a group of them had. And I knew, I'm toast. I'm just toast. Like, I'm never going to recover from this. And honestly, I'm surprised it was even as close as it was, truthfully. Yeah. I thought it wasn't going to be so soon, but I could tell right away from their reaction. I'm like, oh, there's some bruised egos in this moment. And oops.
Well, how did you? Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, no, say young. What was that?
How did you feel, or like, how did you feel when Sam then approaches you with that question about like, hey, here's what's happening and here's what we are doing for you. Like, what was it like to be you in that moment?
Or did you think that was a double cross in a sense?
That's a good question. I felt it was genuine. I really did. And I actually felt so comforted and stood up for the first time in that whole experience. I felt as if people were like, no, you are an asset. You are valuable. We see this. It's going to feel very lonely because we're going to play like we're not doing this, but we are. And I just was so relieved when I was still out of there, right? But I was so relieved that they actually did what they said they were going to do. It restored my faith in humanity. It was beautiful. It really was.
It's a good moment to leave. I mean, you had your Bridgerton to go back to. She had the nice memory there.
Yeah.
And ladies, thank you so much for talking to us this long. And I just want to tell the audience, this is out right now. So we're missing the Traitors. Deal or No Deal Island just ended this past week. So this is a perfect show for all you competition reality series fans. It's a new game, you guys, and it's shot beautifully. I love the host. The challenges are good, so I think it is worth a shot. The first 3 episodes streaming now, and I mean, would you guys do reality competition series again if you were asked?
Dude, this is my pitch. Just because Peter, like you said, he's an incredible host, and he brought this up on a article. Bring all of season 1 cast back, including the winner. Have us play the game again. with all of this like baggage of what has happened, the friendships, the history, but then we're playing the same game. I'm sure they'll have to change it up, but like, ooh, like I would be
Riveting.
tearing
Well, why
up.
don't we bring the same cast back for the next 10 years, and each year we see how you've improved, and then we see how
if I
people
really
grow.
am conniving next
Yes,
time. I'm
exactly.
so conniving.
Okay, so I'm considering that the answer is yes. You would potentially consider doing something like this again.
I'm
Well,
open to it.
I
Okay.
gotta prove to myself that I don't suck at games, so I
Heck
need
yeah.
to get on at least one more. Like,
Yeah.
You're haunted. We gotta get you on the mend. And
Give
how do
her
we
her
sup-
moment.
Yeah, I know. Seriously, how do we support you guys? What's your Instagram handles? What are you guys up to that we can support?
Go ahead, Young, you first.
I'm at Seong on Instagram. I have my first name, which I think is so cool. And then on TikTok, I'm Mint House PDX.
Mint House PDX.
Yeah, it's because I accidentally painted my entire house mint, and now I don't have money to repaint it. So
Hilarious.
that also haunts me.
That's
Watch
a
the
show
story.
right there. That's a show right there. And Lauren, what about you?
Lauren Midwest on all the things.
Okay, Lauren Midwest and all the things. This was great. Thank you. I really enjoyed these first 3 episodes, and I'm sad to see you ladies go, but I'm excited for people to watch this series. So I hope to
Thank
talk to you guys
you.
again somewhere down the line, and have a great weekend.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks.
Bye.